Okay, so hi guys, welcome back to Leave Corporate. I remember a couple of videos ago I was mentioning that I wanted to start to kind of change the format a little bit, not just me talking all the time. I wanted to kind of involve other people because we're all on our different journeys, whether we're still in corporate life or outside of corporate life, whatever it is that we're doing. And I wanted to kind of engage different people and find out what their experiences are right now, especially with everything that's going on. And just to get an idea of their mindset behind decisions that they made. So with me today I have a good friend of mine, Ricardo Allen. So I am so happy, Ricardo, that you decided to, you had taken out the time to come and sit down and do this call with me, because I know we have all kinds of stuff going on. So I'm really, really happy and excited to have you here. So if you would please tell us who you are.
I find it funny that you said take the time because all I have is time.
All we have is time. All we have is time nowadays.
All we have is time. Anyhow, I am Ricardo Allen. Basically, I am an entrepreneur. I own Allen's Photo Studio in Europe, which has been around for 40 plus years. It was my dad's
business. And you are not that, well, I mean, we're not getting into age, but I'm sure
the business is 2 years older than I am. Let's put it that way.
All right. And you didn't start at 2. You didn't start at
no, don't let him know here, fool you. Yeah. Anyway, basically that's it in terms of an introduction. I used to work in corporate very much like, and due to different circumstances. And
we will get into these circumstances behind that. We will ease into that, right? So so you are an entrepreneur. You're the owner, CEO, owner, whatever you want to call yourself.
The
HBIC,
bottle washer, the chef, everything. You name it.
Everything. Yes, and it's a very prominent place because it's been there for so long. It's like a landmark, right? So everything that's going on, we have to talk about this pandemic, of course, because it has been impacting all of us throughout the world. It's a global impact. And I know for me, I had to close, even though, I probably could have gotten around it, but I felt a little safer closing because of, you don't know what's going on. The information is all over the place. So you don't really understand. So it's safer just to kind of stay on the low until things start to ease up. So how has this pandemic been affecting you?
Well, very much like everybody who's in quote unquote non-essential.
Right.
I mean, my business being a photo studio, we basically were passport based. So, anything that you need a passport photo for, you'll come to my business for.
Right.
We started being affected even before the lockdown. Because once things hit the country and people started realizing what was going on, a lot of things started being put off. So like the US visas were put off, renewal of passports were put off, food badges was put off. All those things were actually put off before the actual lockdown.
Right.
Even before the actual having to close my business actually started dropping. So like 2 weeks before the actual lockdown, I started realizing, listen, this is not going to be an easy transition. And having lockdown now, I mean, you have to do what you have to do. You have to stay home and you have to be creative and you have to be very vigilant with your funds. I mean, that's the most important thing. So
I know.
There are no more luxuries, there are only necessities.
Right.
So food. I mean, even my bills that I pay, I have decided there are certain bills that I no longer pay. I mean, and some of them are by choice rather than, not by choice, but rather by necessity.
Right.
So, for example, I stopped the gym the last month.
Right.
So I didn't pay the gym fee, so I had that money to go forward. I mean, basically, the two most important bills right now for me, aside from food, and as far as utility bills go, is the internet, because my daughter has class online, so she needs internet to do classes. The other one would be electricity.
Yeah, well, you have to.
Keep the internet going.
Right.
The 4 main bills actually: internet, electricity, food, and medicine. Whatever medicine.
Right.
Yeah. And after that, everything else could fall by the wayside, as they say.
Until it I think the other concerning thing, I had mentioned it the other day, the other concerning thing is, even after all this is kind of like they move back into, everyday life, normal routine, whatever normal will be from here on out, it might still be a difficult time because people might be conservative.
That's a normal, that's a long thing. Come on,
You're so right. You're so right. And it's like, are they going to be willing to come out now?
That's my other concern, yeah. Because even if they open back up, it's going to be a while before people get comfortable.
Exactly, because it's one thing to hunker down for a short time or whatever, but what happens after that? And it's so funny, so many things that people say, right? So it's like, I'm like one of the people who read comments. I don't say nothing, but I read the comments, but I'm one of those, right?
You're there for the entertainment.
Yes, and I watch it, and sometimes I really want to comment because I'm like, these comments are so ridiculous. Some girl was like, when they said these small business owners are feeling the impact, she's like, don't you all have savings? I'm like, what a foolish thing to say. What a foolish thing to say. So your personal savings is supposed to pay the rent, supposed to pay employees, supposed to buy goods. I mean, are you like, I was just like, okay. I was very close to commenting, you are a true employee. Like, I was very close to saying that.
She's commenting from an employee standpoint rather than a business owner standpoint.
Exactly.
And I mean, the flip to that is that a lot of people, even the owners, because of what owning your own business is, to have a savings is a very difficult thing.
Exactly. Especially when you now start off too.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. I mean, if you talk to any proper entrepreneur, a lot of times, first of all, when you start off, you're not able to pay yourself a salary for the first anywhere from 4 to 8 months.
Right.
Right, because the business is being established.
Yeah.
And once the business has been established, now you're looking at now starting to pay yourself a salary, and you're paying yourself no salary where you could save out of the salary.
Exactly.
It's just a salary where you could see about your bills.
Yeah.
An entrepreneur's business, most times from my experience anyway, is usually upward of a year and a half, going on to 2 years before you could actually start saving money for a rainy day.
Yeah.
So anybody who's an entrepreneur before this, within the last 2 years, which is a lot of people, they have no kind of fallback on.
Exactly.
They have nothing to say, okay, well, I could survive for 3 months or I could survive for a month.
Mm-hmm. Is there business that really,
Yeah.
So let's segue into, okay, so you mentioned that you were in corporate life before, right? We're not going to say the companies or whatever it is. You were in corporate life. How long were you working in the corporate world?
Well, I was one of those people that was supposed to migrate to do some post studies. And that was back in the year when Mr. Abubakar did his school.
Yeah.
And my mother, typical mother, my boy child ain't going no way.
Right.
So, I mean, I am one of those people, I believe in fate and I believe in destiny.
Right.
So the same weekend that I was supposed I got accepted into the college in the US that I wanted to go to.
Right.
2 weeks before that was when Mr. Abubakar did his thing.
Right.
And because of what my mom said, I decided at the beginning of the July-August vacation that year, I just sent out some random applications to different institutions. You sent to the banks, you sent to the insurance companies. Mm-hmm. Those kinds of things back in the day were what they were considered, good jobs.
Right.
And I told my mom, I said, listen, I really want to go and study, but, I understand your fears and that kind of thing. And the weekend before I was supposed to leave, I actually had my ticket in my hand and everything to fly out. I got a response the Friday from the company that I was working for, saying I could get the response came the Wednesday and saying I had an interview the Friday. So I was like, okay, no problem. I went into the interview the Friday, and next thing I know, the Monday, they called me and said, okay, if you want, you could start the job the following week. So I was like, and the following weekend was actually the weekend I was supposed to leave.
Right.
Now, initially, the plan, like most young people, when you now get a job, was to work for a year, save some money, and then still try to study.
Right.
But of course, you're young, you start working, you start getting some money in your hand. The money is more attractive than going away to study.
Right.
One led to another. And next thing you know, I am fully employed in this institution. Still living in my mother's house, paying a little something towards the house, but I'm making more money than I ever thought I could make. You understand? Especially in the field that I was in. Even back then, basically, I mean, I kind of created my own positions in the bank because I worked in the IT field of the bank, and I don't have a degree in computer studies.
Okay.
So what I did was this is a short version of a long story. When the position opened up for the programmer, I convinced my manager to talk to the manager of that department to just allow me to sit the test. Because I knew I could do programming. Because I didn't have a paper saying I could do programming, but I knew I could do programming. Yeah.
So you were always like a go-getter kind of thing, like go after what you want.
I do sit down. Even from then, I was always looking for what's the next level? What can I go to? What can I get?
And how long did you stay with the company?
Oh, I was there for 17 years. So I only left in 2007.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a quite a while, because usually they would say like after 10, 12 years, most times people cement it there. Especially like in a Trinidad, you know, like you're gonna stay.
The thing about it is the IT industry is one. So you have the IT industry, and then you have the banking IT industry.
Right.
Notice the difference in levels. The reason I say that is the IT industry, regular IT industry, changes maybe every 6 to 8 months. You'll get something that update yourself on.
Right.
The banking IT industry, every 3 to 4 months. Because of fraud and because of the different technologies and stuff, the banking industry has something new to learn every 3 to 4 months. And that is what led to my eventual leaving the industry. You know, after doing something so many years, your brain just...
Right.
Yeah.
So you wanted to leave? You wanted to leave after the time?
It was a combination. Because, I'll be honest with you, I suffered from burnout. And when you suffer from burnout, you're not able to function. You're not able to produce the way you're supposed to be producing.
Right.
So a warning letter, then a second warning letter. After the second warning letter, you kind of get a wake-up call for yourself and you say, okay, I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
Did you recognize that you were being burnt out?
I recognize that I was no longer, because I believe in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay.
Right.
And I felt like I was cheating the industry. I felt like I was being paid and I wasn't doing the work that was necessary to get that money.
But were there like telltale signs for you to say that I'm starting to burn out? Like, were there some signs
the classic get up in the morning, drag yourself out, I don't want to go to work.
Right.
You know, and the thing about it is that if I'm being honest with myself, I ignored the signs for probably about 2 years. So in inverted commas, I wasted that 2 years that should have been devoted to what I'm doing now in the industry. I guess I was in denial actually.
Yeah.
Because I mean, doing this thing for 17 years, you can't really convince yourself that, you know, it's no longer for you. It's kind of difficult to grasp or wrap your mind around the fact that this is no longer for you. This is no longer something you should be doing, because this is all you know.
Right. Because you know, it's like how marriages, highs and lows and stuff like that, right? I assume like highs and lows, so you're thinking, okay, yeah, the low, it'll come back up high. And I think, you know, it was just like, you know. And
the low just keep going lower and lower and lower. So that's why I said after the second warning letter, and I mean, I'm being honest, the manager at the time that managed that department that I was in was an excellent manager. I mean, I don't think I should call his name, but he was an excellent manager.
Right.
He called me to his office and he sat me down and he said, listen, Ricardo, I know this is not something you want to hear, but I'm being blunt, you're heading to where I'm going to have to fire you.
Wow.
That was my wake-up call.
Wow.
Instead of giving you enough notice that you could put things in place to either leave on your own, or if it comes to the embarrassing situation of being fired, you have something in place that you can fall back.
Wow.
I went through the normal depression and that kind of thing that goes with that kind of information. I mean, you know, usual thing, you fall back on your family, you talk to your family. And at that time, my mom and dad, my dad owned the photo studio before I took it over. And my dad is old school. So he was still into the 35mm, the film, you know, and the business was now transitioning into the technology that we know now. So the digital cameras and the printers and that kind of thing. And, you know, the older generation, they don't want to learn the new technology. So he was actually looking to close down the business.
Oh, wow.
just like I said, one day having a conversation with my mom, and mom goes, you know photography, you've been in it since you're 9 years old. Why you don't just take over the photo studio?
Right.
And I was like, how come I never thought of that?
And how long after the conversation you had with that boss, right? After he sat you down and had that conversation with you, how long after that did you actually leave?
We had that conversation in November of 2006, and by June of 2007, I was gone.
Okay, so it was still it still took a little while to kind of leave.
Well, the thing is that I didn't want to just leave and go straight into the photography, because photography is a business based on people knowing you as being a photographer. I came up with a strategic plan as to how was the best way to do it, at least in my mind.
Right.
So through this website, which sent me to all these different parties over both the Christmas and the Carnival season, I got my face out there. You know, these parties here.
So you had started doing that before you left?
Yes, before I actually left the institution, yes. I actually started doing the parties and events. And for me, it was a great way to get people to see your face and know you as a photographer, because in these events, you interact with hundreds of people, sometimes thousands.
And I know you party a lot, so everybody know your face by now.
That's a different conversation. But along the lines of what I was planning to do.
Right.
Right. So by the time I had my review coming up, which in the institution is every September, I made the decision by July of 2007. I said, listen, I'm not going to let them. I don't ever want it. You never wanted being on your work record that you were fired from a job.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So
and they don't want people to get so fed up by you. You know,
yeah.
It's just like, listen, let me go. And I actually can relate to that. But I wasn't fired or anywhere close to being fired or anything like that. But the burnout, definitely. I remember there was one time in particular, I was sitting down there. My boss had taken my staff to do something else, and that was a whole different thing. I'm like, he never even asked me, just took my staff and all kind of stuff, and the work was just piling up. And there's one day I just sat down there and I looked at it, and I couldn't do anything. Like, my mind was not computed. I just couldn't do anything. I just stared at it, and I didn't even know what I was looking at.
Yeah, I had instances where I was sitting in work, and I'm on a laptop like this, and I'm not doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
And somebody will pass and knock on my cubicle. Hey, you okay? And I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to be working. All right.
Yeah, you're zoned out. I mean, listen, I am all for give and take, because there's sometimes you give. You give like 10,000%. So if the next day you say, okay, let me dial back and give like, 75% or 50%. To me, give and take is okay. I was not putting the same amount of intensity every day. You need to kind of take back. But if it see like, it's like a trend almost that you just can't get things done, like you're just freezing up. And it was starting to happen to me, like I just couldn't. I just, like, mentally, I just shut down. And I'm like, listen, I need to get out of here. I had to go.
Yep. Totally.
And, yeah. And in terms of the whole experience now, because you've been in it for a while now, more than 10 years, right? Self-employed. The journey, how has it been? I know it must be highs and lows.
Yeah, well, the journey of itself as an entrepreneur is always a challenge, I mean, because obvious things, you go from a fixed salary to a salary that, is not fixed, is not. But the fortunate part of it for me is that I had a business that was already established.
Right.
It was a dying business because my dad didn't transition it. But from the time I transitioned it and I did the required advertising on social media, and even just putting up street signage by the business itself, in the first year of me taking over that business, I saw an increase of 45% in the business.
And I don't want to take away from what you said, because I know some people will listen to what you said. Okay, well, he already had an established business, but I don't want to take away from the work you put in, because, as you said, it was a dying business, and sometimes businesses cannot be revived.
It was a practically dead business.
And so you revived that.
I took this from scratch.
Right.
And brought it all the way back up.
Right. And I don't want to take away from that fact. So I want to make that clear.
The thing is very much like what I said before. I mean, fortunately, when I was in the banking industry, I took advantage of certain things, and I was able to have savings back then. Savings. Because when I took it over, I bought a second-hand laptop. I bought a second-hand digital camera.
Right.
You buy and that was bought out of savings I had from the bank.
Right.
you know, and then once that started bringing in money, and now you reinvest the money. I renovated the location so it looks a lot more modern.
Right.
So being what it was before, which was something that my dad had set up back in the 1970s, and we're talking 2007, I took it over. Use your imagination a little bit. You can imagine what it looked like in
Right.
2007 when I took it over. It felt like you were walking into a time capsule. Understand?
Even though that might be an appeal now, because people, you know,
Yes,
have all
because
this
yeah,
nostalgic.
life is a cycle.
You have to value your repeat customers. Even if it's like $5 a day, you know that that's going to make a difference to the bottom line. Instead of just saying, okay, I know you're bringing in 100, so let me just focus on you. But you don't know how many times you're going to get 100.
Yeah.
I just want to give you a little example. So like I hired somebody to do something. A contractor, a small contractor. It was a small job. It's nothing, no kind of big money. But it was consistent and I was paying him. And the thing is, I think he got like the opportunity to do a huge project. So then he started to kind of like ducking out on me and all kind of, and it was like the way it happened. I'm just like, listen, you're getting paid. It's not plenty money, but you're getting paid. So then it turns out now the people who you want to focus on, because it was big money. Because I was a repeat customer, right? That was big money, and it turns out they kind of ducked him. After he did all that work for them, he didn't get paid. So it's like you're running after big money. They duck out on you. And do you think you still have me as a customer? No.
That happens. And the thing is, a repeat customer will bring customers.
Exactly.
That's what a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
Just for example, I had a lady that came into my studio on a Saturday morning by happenstance. Her son, she lives in the West, in Diego Martin.
Right.
Her son had a football game somewhere in the East. So while the son was playing football, she came to my studio because I was open on a Saturday morning to get her passport photos done. Right?
Yeah.
So she left the son playing football and she came by me. Didn't know me from anybody. Took the passport photos for her. She was very pleased with the photos. She pulled out the pictures that she had of her son and her husband to renew their passports. And she was like, look at the difference in this quality. Wow. And I was like, well, that happens when you don't know your technology properly. Right. Because from the photos she showed me, I could see that they didn't know about adjusting light and aperture and that kind of thing to suit. Right. When she took the picture, her complexion was not true. And she, the following Saturday, brought back the son and the husband, her niece and her daughter to all do their passport photos over.
And look at that.
Right? And this is a woman now, she sends people, anytime anybody asks her for quality photography, she tells people to leave Diego Martin and come up by me on a Saturday morning to take their photos. And anything she needs a passport photo for, she leaves Diego Martin and comes to me in Kira to get her passport.
And what is the lesson learned from that experience?
Your quality of your product is essential, one. And two, it has a lot to do with knowing your craft.
And what about the customer? What does it say to you about the customer?
Well, the customer is key, actually. That's what it says to me.
Yeah.
If you could satisfy the customer beyond their expectations, which is what happened in her situation, you're more than done. You've gone past what you needed to do. You're more than done.
You just have to give your best to every customer, right? Because you never know. Yeah. Give your best.
Not just your best. You have to give 110%.
Right.
Because you never know, right. and that's why a lot of people fall short. A lot of people say, okay, well, this is a $10 transaction.
Right. And that's the thing.
And that's the problem. But when you give every single transaction 110% of your effort to make sure that this person is totally satisfied, you never know what it will lead to. Right.
And that's a good point too, that other, you create other opportunities coming from one opportunity, and you never know what sale would be a huge sale. You just don't know. So I want to also ask you in terms of lessons learned, what the pros and cons are of being self-employed. Like you could start whichever you with, pros or cons.
Well, the cons definitely, I mean, like I said earlier, the fixed salary thing. So what I would advise is learn to budget properly.
Right.
You also need to set targets where your budgeting is concerned. So for me, for example, what I did was I worked out what my bills are for the month. I worked out, now when I say bills, I'm not just talking about bills you pay, but bills you don't see. So like gas to run your car, you know, when you have days when you have to buy lunch, that kind of thing. I worked out a full list of what my monthly expenses is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I broke that down into a daily sales figure.
Right.
So I knew that every day, in order to pay my bills, I needed to do X amount of sales. And when I say X amount of sales, I'm talking about not sales on the book, but profit in my pocket.
Right.
Because there's a difference.
And I realized too, sorry, but I realized too that, you know, even with my journey, that I had to learn to do more with less. Like, I'm not getting the same salary anymore, but I have to still be able to live. So you have to really be creative about it. If you had to cook more, if you have to, you know, stretch things a little more, but you need to be able to survive, to be able to go back to work, to do what you have to do, bring in that money. You know, you have to really, really be creative. And that's the thing too, like, you know, you really see what's important, what you focus on, you know, you see, because we waste a lot of money and don't even realize it. We waste a lot of money.
Yeah, luxury expenses that a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah. And what are some of the pros that you see of being self-employed?
Definitely the stress level is different.
Right.
I mean, there are stresses that go with working for yourself, but it's a difference knowing that at the end of the day, this is yours.
It's yours.
This is something, this is something that I have built. This is something that can't be taken away from me.
Yeah.
Now, the stress that goes with that is it's up to you to keep it going.
Right.
Right? That's the stress that goes with it. But it's a different thing when you're working for a company or when you're working for somebody. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, if you follow the old adage where they say you're working for a gold watch. Because when you retire, that's what they're going to give you.
And I would say especially, I think especially even more significant when you could actually see beginning and end result, when you can track the progress. Whereas in big organizations, it's so layered. There's so much layer. You're doing something here, you don't even know what that's for. And it's like, you're just wasting my time. I just have all this stress for what? Because you're not seeing the end results. You're not seeing what that is for. Actually, half of them, I don't even think they know what it is for. But, you know, because they just want to give you work for no reason.
Yeah, they just say they find you have nothing to do. Yeah,
exactly, you know, and they also have to make a case for their own survival too, your boss.
No, I'm not denying. I mean, very similarly, as an entrepreneur, you put yourself under stress because you want to increase your business every year. Of course. But at the end of the day, the stress is not there that it have to be done. I mean, I'm being honest with you, there have been periods when I have been ill, or there have been periods when certain things didn't go the way I like it to, but I was able to pay my bills, I was able to put food on my table and clothes on my back, a roof over my head, and I was happy. You understand? I'm not stressing that, oh my God, I need to come up with an extra $5,000 this month because the boss is going to say, no, I am the boss.
Yeah.
Well, fire myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, when your bills are paid, I pat myself on the back. Good job, Ricardo. Keep it up.
Thank God, because that's the most important thing, to have a place to sleep and food to eat.
Yeah, your priorities change.
Yeah. So I want to kind of wind it down a little bit because I think we put in a lot of information, right? Which is really, really good because I know a lot of people, they have reservations about wanting to take that step. Or if they now take any step, they kind of like, you know, tugging between, should I have done this kind of thing, right? So I know you said, budgeting is very important. And, you know, managing, like, just managing your day-to-day and, you know, like, it takes a while. But, okay, so if you were to give somebody, okay, one coin of wisdom, like, you want to encompass everything, right? But you want to say it very concisely, like, okay, this, when you're going off on your own, this is what to consider. What would you say to that?
From my experience, that's advice I could give somebody who's looking to become an entrepreneur, regardless of what industry you're looking to get into.
Yeah.
As much as possible, have a plan.
Have a plan.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there are very few people who could just, as they say, jump and take that risk. So especially if you're in the corporate world, don't just leave it and decide you're going to do this. Make a plan as to how you're going to leave and get into it. As much as possible, try to put aside enough savings that you could cater for, like I said, anywhere. I would say a minimum of being 6 months. You need to be able to start your business up and not rely on your business for 6 months.
Well, one thing I would say with that, even though I had savings initially, you do even realize how fast it's go
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying.
when nothing else coming in.
Yeah, in as much as you can,
Yeah,
plan for what you can. That's the best way I would put it.
plan for what you can.
Yeah,
Because you can't plan for everything.
you cannot plan for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, do
Definitely.
what you could do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, put aside some savings before you start. And the other part of it is know your craft. Know what you're going to do. You have to be creative all the time. So
Given what you just give your job, because people give
Yeah.
their job so much.
Yeah.
And they
And
give that same
I
energy
will-
to your business.
Yeah, I will give you an example. So before I left the industry, the banking industry, to do the photography full time, because of people seeing me in those events, I got contracts to work with different political parties because we had an election year that year. And a lot of my photos were those photos that you would see on the huge banners on the side of the road and stuff. Those were photos that I did. Now, I didn't get recognition for it because, people would see the photos and they know who take the photos. But the point I'm trying to make is that I gave it my best because you're working for a political party. You have to look at it, if they like what you're doing, you're going to get work down the road, and that's what happened. And over the period of 3 months for me working for that political party, I worked for the equivalent of what was 4 8-hour days in the corporate world.
Wow.
So over 3 months, I had covered basically 32 to 35 hours of work for that political party.
Right.
That's another thing you need to consider when you're starting up your business as well. Connections are important. There are people out there, you may not know what they do or you may not know how they can help you, but the littlest of things that attracts them to you, take advantage of it. Let them know what to do, let them know who you are, and this is what you do.
And I would just say even more like just be open. Be open. Don't close yourself off. Be open to different opportunities.
Exactly.
Be open.
Don't think this person can help me. No,
right.
Never.
Because you never know.
And the more you could get your word, the more you can get your name out there, the more you can get, you will be surprised at the end of the day, especially if you have a quality product that people want, they will recommend you. They will recommend you to the highest of highs. And that's where the follow-up comes in. When you get recommended now, you need to make sure you know your craft so that you could deliver.
I mean, things happen, but but very true. Make sure you take advantage of opportunities. Make sure you stay open. Make sure you keep improving yourself. Make sure that you have a plan. Make sure you understand how to budget. You might have to scale back on some things, but once you can eat and shelter, you're good to go. But I want to very much thank you, Ricardo, for coming on this call. I know we have nothing but time these days, but still, even though we have nothing but time, we always find time still running away from us, right? So
actually, you're taking away from a nap time.
I take away from a nap time.
I don't know how I going back to normal hours when you see this over.
I know. I tell you, I'm more tired than before. But thank you so much. And I'm hoping that we can see each other very soon, maybe Lime or something.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I'm gonna end it now. So just now,
Sure.
Okay. Actually, I'm gonna. Let me stop.